Hey there, Tano. I'm Shadow Scythe, and today we're going to be delivering a devastating beating when we get locked and loaded with the War. Now, as many of you know, the War is Shadowstalker's iconic melee weapon, ever since the second Dream dropped. Now, whenever you kill the Stalker, you do have a very, very low potential to get that blueprint to drop, and it does require you to use the Broken War. So you really have two options to go about getting it. You can farm the ever-living hell out of Stalker, and then pray to RNGesus that he drops the blueprint. Among the other parts that you have to farm him and the Sentience for. Or you can do what I did and buy the Hun House gift bundle, which gives you the Pakal armor, the Pakal Kubro armor, and the Pakal Scimitar skin. I don't think I've got anybody who's actually joining me on this, so I may actually abort mission. I'm gonna wait a few seconds, and if nobody shows up, I will abort. But before I get too much into talking about my build with the War, I just want to go ahead and say to you guys that my little whining rant about what I may end up having to do for TennoCon, as it turns out, they don't want me doing it anymore. Because they got to see, they actually took a look at my or the people wanting me to do it, took a look at my operator, and apparently I am a little too edgy. So any of you guys who have watched the My Operator video, you know what my operator looks like, and I even went through and removed the somatics that had the scar running across the face. But just because of my appearance, I am apparently too edgy for them. So I'm no longer doing that. So how's that for irony? Well, we got somebody else, so I'm gonna go ahead and start this. Oh yeah, we got more people joining. So I will start this and we will go to 5 waves.
Attack us, and we will counter.
If he wants to go to 15, he can. I'm not going to, just for the purpose of keeping this video short. As you can see, it still does an adequate amount of damage. Even if it's not the optimal damage type for the enemy you're up against. Because as you know, Grineer are armored targets, so the optimal damage types would be puncture and corrosive. Because while there are some fleshy Grineer targets, those fleshy Grineer targets are only like the frontier ones. So they're all super low level. Because even those squishy frontier targets are replaced with tougher ones for any sortie missions that happen to be on Earth. So it's really nice that no matter what the fuck you do, those goddamn shield lancers don't take any sort of damage, even when you swing the sword when their shield is not near their body. So it's literally either shoot them or hit them in the back. Because even when they don't protect themselves with their shield, they are immune to melee damage. But the other thing is that the War is a great sword, so it is 100% compatible with the Dominion sword skin that came in the Chroma Deluxe bundle. So if you guys have that skin and absolutely love it, and don't necessarily like the way that the War looks, you can easily change the way it looks with no strings attached. because before the, as you know, whenever they first started doing those deluxe skin bundles, the deluxe weapon skins used to be weapon specific. Like the Proto Glaive skin used to be exclusive to the Glaive and Glaive Prime, and now you can use it on all thrown melee weapons. What other ones? The skin that came with the Saren Orphid skin came with, it was specifically for the dual Zoran, and now it can be used on any dual sword. Just like the one that came with the Loki Deluxe skin, that, I forget, actually no, that used to be for the dual Kamas, and it's the same deal. So I was glad to see that they changed that, which gives you a little more customization options with your weapons. But anyway, since I'm getting a little too far off topic of the war, we're gonna just come right on back. And I'm an idiot because I was running a speed bud specifically to help speed things along, and I completely forgot to use my powers at all. So let's fix that for this last wave. But yeah, and I mean, yes, they're only like in the 20 range, but they're still, even at that level range, when you aren't using the optimal damage type, it doesn't always work out in your favor. So let's just get them to all drop. They're taken care of. And I'm out.
Do you choose to leave
they can
now
keep going.
or continue
I
fighting?
don't want to. Okay, well. Sorry about that guy who wanted to go to 15. It's just, I kind of got my own thing I gotta do. Alrighty. Now then, with that all taken care of, let me just jump right down to the arsenal. And here is my build for the war. Now, the war comes with 2 innate polarities for your stance, and I believe pressure point or prime pressure point. Because I believe it came with a V polarity. Oh, I'm sorry about that. But as you can see, I put 2 form into it to either get collision force and primed heavy trauma, costing half of what they actually require, or it was for prime pressure point and one of the other 2. I don't remember which of these 3 polarities it starts out with innately, but that's not necessarily important, because you guys will figure it out whenever you get it for yourself if you haven't put any form into it. But as you can see, I'm using primed pressure point, collision force, and primed heavy trauma to raise my base damage up to 57 slash, 8 puncture, and 1013 impact. Which at the same time, before I continue explaining the rest of my build, there is the inlying issue that me, as well as some other players that I've talked to about the war, have, where we're kind of a little appalled, I would say. I mean, don't get me wrong, the war's a great weapon. It's just the stats don't make sense in comparison to the Broken War. Because let me show you guys this really quick. War, Broken War. Now, here's the total stat difference. obviously showing you guys the base stats. Now, the War to the Broken War, the War does attack a little bit faster, which you would expect since it is a one-handed sword and it's merely a fragment of the War. Now, there is a better critical and status chance on the War over the Broken War, which you'd expect considering fragment versus whole product. But the damage stats, there is more puncture damage on the Broken War. I kind of expect that just from it being a fragment, so that's not, and it's not that much difference. But the War has 112 impact damage to the Broken War's 9, and the War has 24.5 slash damage to the Broken War's 72. So as to where in the hell you take a one-handed sword dealing primarily slash damage and turn it into a great sword dealing primarily impact, I don't get. And you can't even say that it's because of the fact that it's broken over the regular War, because whenever you're striking people with this, you're still hitting them with this edge, which is the same edge that you hit them with in the War. So there's something that just does not add up here. But anyway, I don't want to sit there and bash DE for an amazing weapon and an amazing game. I'm just saying that those are I'm just giving you guys my personal feelings on the weapon. Then I'm using True Steel to get a slightly higher critical chance base, as well as Blood Rush to scale it with my combo multiplier, and then Berserker just to get that extra attack speed per crit. Comboing it with Primed Fury, just because although when you're using one or the other, it's not really necessary to have both. But when you get a slow attacking greatsword that is just swinging like an Atarax whip that's going absolutely apeshit with a Berserker proc, and just mowing through everything. Oh, it is a beautiful sight. And then, of course, I am using Maiming Strike, as I tend to use on all of my melee weapons, just because Maiming Strike actually is a really good mod to have, regardless of whether the weapon is a pure base damage weapon, a pure crit weapon, a pure status weapon, a hybrid weapon, whatever. Just because it doesn't actually scale off of your critical chance or your status chance. What it does is it gives your any of your slide attacks a 90% chance to be a critical hit. So if you're using a pure status weapon and you throw this on there, then not only are you going to do a slide attack with the potential to do a lot of damage, you're doing a slide attack with the potential to do critical damage. And possibly inflict a status proc depending on how high your status chance is. And how much RNGesus loves you. Now, unfortunately, Maiming Strike is one of the mods that is a little more difficult to get a hold of. Just because of the fact that the only way to get it, really, is by beating the Acolytes, and not just any of them. Specifically, you have to beat Misery, which was the Necros Acolyte. Which, depending on what weapons you were running the one and only time he was here, he was a gigantic pain in the ass. And even then, it was very rare that people got this. I lucked out by sheer chance and got it whenever they were here. But because Misery wasn't here the last time that the Acolytes were live, it made it a little harder to get because I think the Limbo Acolyte also dropped it, but the Limbo Acolyte was also like whenever he was here the last time was also like a 0.001% chance to drop it because still almost nobody got it. So unless you guys want to try to pick that up the next time the Acolytes are here, you can try your luck at Trade Chat. However, I believe that the lowest I've seen it go for is still 400 plat. And even then, it's rare that you see it that low. But anyway, that's all that I have to talk to you guys about today. And I'm actually a little relieved that I don't have to do that thing for TennoCon, just because... Now, granted, I probably would still do it if the whole group of people that was wanting me to do it still wanted me to do it. But since they're now against it, I'm not going to. But you guys can follow me on Twitter and player.me to stay up to date with everything video related and everything that I post on there not video related. So like any sort of news as to why a video hasn't come out, or if there's a video coming out off the normal schedule, stuff like that. As well, and possibly any Twitch stream announcements, which I may start mentioning in videos as well. I may or may not try to stream later on today. If I don't, I probably will on Tuesday. But other than that, you can check out my GameWisp link in the description box below if you would like to subscribe and support the channel and the Twitch, since I finally have everything working to start doing that again. And until next time, Tenno, stick to the shadows.